Hello, I will be speaking to you today about Futurism with Umberto Boccioni. Umberto Boccioni was born October 19, 1882. He was an Italian sculptor, painter, printmaker, and writer, and one of the figureheads of Futurism. I hope by the end of this presentation you have a better understanding of what exactly is Futurism and who exactly founded this through Umberto Boccioni. Here presented is an early picture of Umberto Boccioni, and he spent his early childhood years in Forlì, Genoa, and Padua. In 1899, he moved to Rome, where he finally developed his passion and interest in painting, where he would go and visit Scuola Libre del Nudo. In Rome, he would make visits to the studio of Giacomo Balla, who would be a very influential figure in his life. Balla would teach him how to use color in small overlapping brushstrokes, and also the use of complementary colors, which Boccioni would later express in his futuristic work with increasingly dramatic and violent ways. Balla also instilled the love of landscape and nature that remains a constant feature of all his paintings. In the spring of 1906, Boccioni grew tired of the provincial life and he went to Paris. This would also be a huge influence on his work. The huge, futuristic, and modern French metropolis left him gasped and awed in its massive, extraordinary size. In late August 1906, he went to Russia with a Russian family he had met in Paris. There are not many works from this time period, and most must have been lost during this time. Boccioni then felt the need to move away from Balla's teaching and form his own form of art and search for artistic truth. He later retraced the path of divisionism and expressionism inspired by the paintings of Gaetano Privati. This then led him to the birth of Futurism between the time of 1910 and 1911. On this slide, you can see the painting by Umberto Boccioni, State of Mind, The Farewells, using the medium oil on canvas, dated 1911, and currently resides in the Museum of Modern Art. During this time, Futurism was not known as a painting movement, but more of a literary movement. During this time, Boccioni had his first one-man expedition in Venice in the summer of 1910, still showing strong links with the past and in particular 19th century figurative styles. During this time, Boccioni had become very familiar with cubic syntax due articles in journals through the La Voice. He had made many trips to France and became very familiar with these different types of paintings. During this time, Boccioni moved to more formal but richly hued meditation on the possibility of using lines and signs to express sensations. These are awfully element in this work, State of Mind. As you look at this work, you can see how he first applied these theories of simultaneously and dynamism that he expounded in April 1910. He conceived a synthesis of visual representation of the sensation of the internal and external space and movement in all directions. He liked to see how different things intersected, and the use of color and shading is very evident in this piece of work. There's a very rapid amount of violence and energy throughout this painting and a line of force, showing intersecting with each other and contrast of energy. Moving on, we look to his sculptures and later paintings. In this piece, you can see Anti-Graceful, made out of bronze in 1913, currently residing in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. In the year 1912, Bonanucci began to show a serious interest in sculpture. In April 1912, he published a piece of work called La Scultura Futurista, which was a technical manifesto in which he expressed scathing contempt for traditional sculpture notions. In this work, he said the old sculptures were no good, in layman's terms. In the beginning, Bonanucci constructed his early sculptures out of many different materials, even using glass, wood, or even horsehair. In his work, he tried to use the long processes of synthesis of a form of motion in relation to the surrounding environment. If you look at this work and present it in front of us, you can see a real motion between the face and the different pieces of work that go hand in hand in this work. During this time, Bonanucci explored similar concerns in his paintings but arrived at different spatial solutions, achieving an even greater form of abstraction. He would always look at the fourth dimension, he asserted. Bonanucci would become extremely active at this moment and participate in many expeditions in Rome, Florence, Rotterdam, Paris, and Naples from the beginning of 1914. After the publication of his book, Bonanucci passed through a period of profound crisis that coincided with a broader questioning of Futurism itself. He was also very involved in politics going on, and he supported interventions in favor of Italy's entry into World War I. In July 1916, Bonanucci enlisted in the Italian army and was assigned to the field artillery. He would later die falling from a horse. Now moving on, we look at another piece of his work. This work called Unique Forms of Continuity in Space, made out of bronze in 1913, currently residing in the Museum of Modern Art. Even though Umberto Boccioni had a very short life, it was a very productive one. He became very obsessed with sculptures around 1912, and he believed he could revive the culture that was going on in sculptures. Here, in one of Bonanucci's few cast pieces, he creates an anonymous superhuman figure striding purposely through space. You can tell that there's a certain type of motion going on with this work moving forward. Look how it strides forward, a symbol of vitality and strength, says the historian Joshua C. Taylor wrote. How it moves through the air, it is muscular without muscles and massive without weight. It is clear that Umberto Boccioni was a huge powerhouse when it comes to Futurism, and would become one of the leading futuristic artists with Giamballa and Gino Severini, painters of Italian Futurism, and was one of the first signers of the Manifesto of Futurist Painters, a technical manifesto of futuristic paintings. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation and have become more informed about Futurism and Umberto Boccioni.